Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Cleanup Step. This is Justin. We are sponsored by Comic Collector's Shop in Sunnyvale, California. And I'm here with two of my friends, Mike and Mike. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
So for simplicity's sake, I'm going to be Mike me, and you'll be Mike you. Is that cool with you?
That's cool with me.
Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, because your last name starts with U, right?
Yes, it does.
Yes,
okay.
that was the joke.
Yeah. For this week's question, we were thinking far and wide, and we decided to go a little silly this week. What are your favorite tribes?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one. All right, I'll go first. I gotta say, my favorite tribe is Tribal Real Estate Salesman, because I really, really love Boborigmos, the angry real estate agent, or as many plebeians know him, Boborigmos Enraged. Because he really just wants you to buy this lovely wooded property, and he's gonna hit you with it in the face until you do. So personally, that's like my favorite fun commander deck to play. And in terms of like actual tribes, it's probably soldiers, just because one of the soldier tokens from Theros is my favorite art for like tokens. And demigod isn't a tribe. Well, it's not a good tribe, but it's very much Boborigmos is the deck that I default to when I'm like, I want to show people a good time, I want to have fun, I want to enjoy myself. And he's also one of like 3 creatures in the deck, and all the other creatures get me lands in some way. Therefore, that deck is Tribal Real Estate Agents.
Nice. I like it. I like the flavor of that deck. I played against that deck, and yeah, it's a bunch of lands coming at your face.
Yeah, red-green control is super fun, isn't it?
Yeah. It was really tough for me to choose. Honorable mention would be vampires, because of all of the lore that is involved in the vampire tribes. There's so many legendary creatures that are great. And Soren, he's a planeswalker, but he's from the vampire lineage, and he's one of my favorite magic characters. But I gotta go with dragons, just because they're badass. They're kind of like the height of fantasy, high fantasy. There's sentient dragons like Niv Mizzet, and the baddiest of them all, Nicol Bolas. So yeah, dragons is gonna be my vote for favorite tribe. How about you, Justin?
Oh man, I really like vampires too. They often have great art. Mm-hmm. They all, like, depending on the plane, they all look different. Like the vampires from Ixalan look completely different from the vampires of Zendikar and the vampires of Innistrad. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Thopters. Like I really enjoy the way Thopters play. They go wide, but they also have flying, which is a bit of evasion. They usually have blue and red involved, so there's a lot of control aspects there.
Right.
And they also just look really cool. Like I'm a big fan of machines, and I love like how much detail goes into a lot of the art on Thopters.
Yeah, especially the ones from Kaladesh. They look really beautiful.
Yeah, the Kaladesh ones look great, and the original Ornithopter, like it's just like it looks like a Da Vinci painting. It looks really cool.
It really does.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the original Ornithopter art. It looks too much like, well, actually, like something that wouldn't fly unassisted. So I look at it every time and I'm like,
I mean, it is a 0/1. It's not the strongest.
It's a 0/2. It's got a big
0/2, yeah.
If there's Smuggler's Copter is the only Thopter that's vehicle, isn't it?
Is that a Thopter? I thought it was just a subject type vehicle.
I'm not sure. I'll look it up. Or Michael look it up.
I got it.
But it fits the flavor. But most of them are vehicles. I'm not sure if they have a subtype. I could be wrong though.
No, they're my big thing though is they're not. What I mean is they're already creatures, meaning these Thopters are sentient to some degree, right? Because like they're animated, they can move by themselves. Well, it's just a vehicle.
Yeah, it's just a vehicle.
Well, sentient and autonomous are two different things.
They're autonomous, hence 0/2. So it's weird.
I mean, it also has to go back to my favorite commander, which is Breya, Ethereum Shaper. She makes Thopters.
Yes.
I had a lot of fun right before the Teamer Energy bannings. Playing Grixis Thopters.
Yeah.
Because you can just go super wide and just chump block Bristling Hydra for days, and just crack back for 30 with 30 Thopters and stuff. It was a blast to play, and I had a great matchup against Teamer Energy.
Yeah.
So like a lot of aspects of the decks I play include Thopters, and like that's funny because I'm not usually I'm not a big fan of tokens. Like I don't usually play decks that like go wide. It's usually like me playing control with like a big game ender or incremental damage or something. But man, I had a lot of fun playing Grixis Thopters in Standard.
Yeah, you talked about that deck a lot when you were playing it. It was kind of, that was your jam.
It's the deck I took to the GP, so.
Yeah.
So speaking of older cards and a lot of these tribal synergies, a lot of them are getting reprinted in Masters 25. Like vampires are getting a bit of a boost. There's no tribal synergies straightforward in Masters 25. I think like except for elves maybe. Elves might be.
That's so hard to avoid.
Yeah. But like we're getting a lot of reprints in Masters 25. A lot of interest, cool new art that we're usually only seeing on like either online cards or promos. Like I think Azusa is the art on Azusa has only ever been seen on a Judge promo before.
Yes.
The Brainstorm art used to be online exclusive, only on Moto.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like Hana, she's getting her old promo art. I think she's already gotten that art before in paper, but she's getting it again. Which like I love the art on that card, drawn by Therese Nielsen. Great art.
Yes.
You know what art I love, and I'm sad is not in the set? Debtor's Knell.
Ooh.
Debtor's Knell would have been a great choice to reprint in this set because I don't think it's ever been reprinted outside of the basic Ravnica.
It's not.
I don't think
it hasn't been
Yeah.
reprinted. It's not too expensive, but it would have been super fun in draft.
It's like $7 to $11.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's actually pretty expensive.
Okay.
And I'm like it a lot. I think it really works well on a lot of black-white reanimator decks. It gives you that slow card advantage of just stealing one creature every turn, and then if you run it in black-white-blue like I did, you're not just stealing one creature. You're reaching in. You're stealing a creature, and then Paradox Haze, and you're stealing another creature.
Yeah.
And 2 creatures a turn from all of your opponent's dead creatures is a lot. So it really made me sad that that's not going to be easily accessible to newer players. It's going to be a lot harder to get that because I feel like it really would have boosted up the commander scene a lot, and I don't feel like that's what they were going for.
Okay.
Before I forget, Kyle has a message for all of our listeners and for Watsy, which is, haha, neener, 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 told you so. This set is exactly what I expected. Ha ha ha, I was right, you were wrong, and also I'm a big duty head. Liberal interpretations on that one.
Exact words. Those were exact words.
Exact quote. But Kyle was right. I did listen to the podcast when you guys were projecting what you thought was going to be in the set, and the EV for this set is on par or even higher than the last couple Master sets that have come out. They put some money cards in the set, you know, like Juice the Mind Sculptor, Phyrexian Obliterator, Vidilian Click.
Oh man, Ensnaring Bridge.
Ensnaring Bridge
that'd be
needed a
sweet.
reprint.
I'm so happy
reprinted.
that's getting a reprint.
Azusa was an $80 card. You know, that's come down. It's still pretty expensive. Pact of Negation. You know, there's a lot of staples.
Some serious like it's not the best Master set we've seen. That still goes to the original Modern Masters, and Modern Masters 17 was just amazing too.
Yep.
We'll have to see what the draft environment is for this set. It looks to be a lot of degenerate combos.
I think the big draft environment for this set is going to be getting packs for cheaper than retail. I'm looking at it and I'm like, now I'm not a big drafter, but just like as a casual person, this is impenetrable. Like I have no idea what I would even try to build. And so that I feel is something, especially with the higher price point, that will turn off a lot of newer players coming into it. This is not a draft for new players, right? And that makes sense on one level because it's a master set and it's not supposed to be for new players. But on the other level, like you always do need to have that hand reached out. Because there's going to be somebody who sees it and goes, yeah, I'll pay $30, I'll play. And I don't know.
There's a ton of crazy combos you can do in this set, though.
But they're not obvious.
Yeah, like Vesuvian Shapeshifter and Brine Elemental, the Pickles Lock. Like, you can do that in the set, but like to see it, you sort of either need to, like, see the 2 cards side by side, or you had to have been there when the lock was being played, like, in, like, you know, back when it was actually a deck.
What are you most excited is coming back around?
Not for drafting, but for value-wise, I'm really happy. Like, for me, when I see a set like this, especially a Master set, and I did the same thing with Iconic, and I also did the same thing with Modern Master 17, it comes down to whether I'll buy a box or not, is I look at the uncommons. I don't care about the rares, I don't care about the mythics, I look at the uncommons.
Yeah, because you're never gonna see the rares anyway.
If the uncommons are good, I'm more likely to buy a box.
Right.
Modern Master 17 had Path to Exile as an uncommon. That was a strong, heavy push for me to get a box. Same with Lingering Souls and whatnot.
Oh, Lingering Souls, so good for limited.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. For this set, the reason, like, it's not, like I said, it's not the best set, but the reason I'm probably gonna buy a box of this set is I saw a lot of pretty decent uncommons. Like, I saw Ash Barons getting reprinted, which got upshifted from uncommon to an uncommon. But, like, I'm okay with that just because it needed a reprint. It was, like, what, a $10 common, which is pretty dumb.
Yeah, it was only printed in one commander set.
And then Swords of Plowshares getting another reprint. Always a solid card. It's always hovering around, like, the couple dollar range, which is going to be great for newer players to get their hands on.
Yep.
I'm super excited for one particular uncommon, Loyal Sentry.
Oh God.
Yeah,
actually, it's a common.
Yeah.
It's a common?
It's now a common.
Oh.
Yeah, Loyal Sentry used to be a rare, got downgraded to a common.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was. I'm not excited for the set symbols because it gives you such a small space to see the color.
Yeah, the set symbol is pretty bad.
But it feels crowded, right? But that's beside the point.
So it's a 1 mana, 1 white, 1/1. It says when it blocks, the creature it blocks and Loyal Sentry both get destroyed, which so good against stuff like Bogles and stuff.
Which is exactly what I'm going to use it for, because my modern deck loses so hard to Bogles, and it's just a cool looking card.
Yeah,
I like the dynamics of the pose and the mask. The overall aesthetic is definitely something I enjoy.
Yes. I'm glad to see it's still a rare, but I'm glad to see the old art for Vindicate come back. The Star Wars art. I love that one.
That TIE Fighter.
Pardon me.
I'm really happy to see Boros Charm again. That was slowly ticking up there in terms of price.
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah, like
wow.
It's a really strong card.
Yeah, a lot of people they're playing.
Boros Charm.
Yeah, Boros Charm.
So I was thinking Gruul Charm.
Oh yeah.
No, that one's
Bobby on the back.
That one's pretty terrible.
Yeah. Ancient Stirrings. Believe it or not, Cultivate was actually getting there in terms of price, and it's getting a reprint, which is nice.
Because the commander players.
The Therese Nielsen art for Elvish. The Rebecca Gay art for Elvish Piper. Amazing art. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that art compared to the other one. Just a lot of like strong uncommons that like I'm okay. I feel safe buying a box for these because they're not cards I feel like buying singles of. Like I just like don't want to go out and buy Rancors. It's nice to just have Rancors sitting at home in a box that I know I have access to. So I do like a lot of these uncommons getting reprinted. Utopia Sprawl. I recently bought these for Pauper, and they were like $5 a piece.
Oh, they went out. They were $3 when I last priced them.
It's nice to see that getting a reprint. It's not a ton of money, but it's also like paying like $3 to $5 for an uncommon just doesn't feel great.
No.
I mean, it feels great for me.
I mean, as a store manager, of course, it does feel good for you. But as a consumer, as someone buying cards, it is nice to see a lot of these cards in these in the cheaper slots. Lightning Bolt, great card.
Yes.
Classic card getting a reprint.
That one's not gonna go down though.
Yeah,
it's gonna sit there for a minute.
He's playing every format. It's legal. And Red Elemental Blast with new art looks great. Arcane Denial, it's like Commander staple. And it's getting new art, which looks great. Like, I like it way better than the Commander 2014, 2013 art.
2013.
Talking about, oh, sorry.
It looks like puke, pretty much, like the old one. Yeah, it's really nice to see Arcane Denial back. Dark Ritual, can't wait to play that in Draft.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Eidolon of the Great Revel, because so the store actually has a Borrower Modern deck that's Mono Red Burn.
Yeah.
And I love Eidolon, but I sold mine when I thought I was getting less into Magic to buy more Warhammer stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm a genius. So, and this was when they were like $5, and now they're $15.
Yeah.
So I would be excited to get a playset back. That would be just lovely.
I think the reprint has brought them back down to around the $5 range. The last time I was checking for them, they're about $5 or $6 now.
Oh, good.
Like, I'm a big fan of the rares in the set and a lot of the uncommons. Like, the rares, it's nice to see the filter lands back.
Yeah, those need to be reprint.
Eidolon, like a lot of these cards. Chupacabra getting reprinted as an uncommon.
Chupa thingy.
Which, hey, it's a 4-mana 2/2 that destroys a creature. It's just better Necker
Did
Call.
that get, like, printed 2 sets ago? That was in Ixalan, wasn't it?
No, it was in Rivals. It was the
Was it
newest set.
Rival?
It just got.
But the thing is, like, despite it being in Rivals, it's still like $1 uncommon.
Yeah, no, it's
so
expensive because
Yeah.
it's good. And again,
Yeah.
another one I like the art on.
Yeah. So it is really cool to see a lot of these cards, and man, like
A lot of commander cards, commander only cards, like Reform.
Reform,
which is the one
yeah.
that turns into a fish, that turns into a shark, that
Yeah.
turns into a whale, that turns into a sea monster.
Yeah. Freaking Animar getting reprinted.
Yep, Animar
that was
needed it.
getting up there.
Yeah.
That was
Animar
getting pretty
needed it.
pricey.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Side
it looks-
note, don't sign multicolor Magic cards with a gold pen if you're a Magic artist, because we had an Animar that was signed. We like to carry signed cards when we can. We had an Animar that was signed, and he had used gold pen over the gold section of the actual like box, so you could barely see it.
Oh.
You had to know you were looking for it.
Oh, it's blended.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too bad.
It's unfortunately, I feel that some of the mythics sort of dropped the ball.
Yeah.
I think Jace the Mind Sculptor, Animar, some others,
But
Ensnaring Bridge,
I think
Azusa, I believe, a Prosh.
Those are all mythics.
yeah.
The problem is a lot of these aren't really worth it from a financial point of view.
But at the same time, I'd argue that's actually good, because they're putting more value in the rares and the uncommon
Yeah.
slot, which you're more likely to get. And if they want to move boxes and also increase playership in
Yeah.
Legacy and Modern, which is definitely what they're trying to do with this. They don't give two poops about Vintage, but
Yeah.
Legacy and Modern, they definitely are trying to increase
Yeah.
the players. If they want to do that, they need to make these cards accessible. So making the Mythics the most expensive cards and like the best cards and the cards everybody wants
Yeah.
is actually self-defeating, because there's a very few people who are going to buy cases just to try and guarantee that they get the Mythic
Yeah.
they want. There's very few people with that kind of money. I know one who actually dropped that kind of money. I know another who has it but doesn't care. He already
Yeah.
has all the cards. So,
Yeah. It's just like stuff like you open your box and get an Armageddon. What, you pay 200 something bucks and get a Armageddon and a bunch of other junk?
but if that Armageddon is couched in now I'm trying to think of a Phyrexian Obliterator, is that
Yeah.
mythic?
Yeah.
Is that rare?
No, that's
No.
mythic.
No, Phyrexians are
Mythic.
mythic.
If it gets couched in Azusa Lost But Seeking,
Like a blood moon.
Blood Moon, Courser of Crufix, and
Well,
an Eidolon of the Great Rebel,
we'll
that hurts a lot less.
We'll have to, like, the thing is, like, we'll have to see how much these prices are going to fluctuate, because this set is getting released in Target and Walmart just like Iconic was. And
Oh.
that tanked the prices of everything in Iconic. So we'll have to see. My reasoning for getting a box is not the mythics. It is sort of disappointing to see a lot of really mad mythics, and a lot of mythics that aren't really like indicative of the history of Magic.
Yeah.
Like, I believe, Mike Uyeda, you had a problem with Tree of Redemption.
Yeah, because that's when I started playing Magic, and of all of the mythics that would represent Innistrad, even in green, I know that there are some other more playable mythics, but yeah, I mean, they could have gone Geist Ain't Trapped.
like,
They could
What would have
gone-
been a really cool mythic would have been to grab, it's not the same set, but you could have grabbed, what's his butt? Garrick.
Yeah.
No,
Garrick would have been great in there.
Garrick is the same set.
Yeah.
It was
He's
released
Dark
in
Yeah.
Ascension.
No,
No.
he was released in Innistrad.
Yeah.
Was he in this draft?
Yeah, he was on the packs. He was actually on the packs.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought a box of that set and I got a Garrick. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah, that's still a better choice though.
Yeah.
That my statement
Like
stands.
a few more iconic cards, like Huntmaster of the Fells, not super expensive, but that is a bit more iconic than Tree of Redemption.
Yeah, as Sigarda for Modern. and
Oh,
also
Sigarda, yeah.
For Commander, that's never gotten a reprint.
Yeah.
They gave us Gisela, but I really think that Sigarda should have
And
seen a reprint.
Gisela has gotten a few reprints already. Like,
yeah, we really could have used.
It would have been really nice to see Sigarda, or even Bruna. Bruna hasn't gotten a reprint.
Yeah, Bruna
and it's
hasn't
not
gotten a
super
reprint.
expensive.
I mean, that would have been a nice flavor.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like
just-
I don't know, like seeing Grizzlebrand or Avacyn again would have been interesting because they're pretty like iconic in that set.
They've been trying to smash Avacyn's price for a while now.
Yeah.
'Cause
She's still
been
like
reprinted
$20.
a lot.
Like
If they really wanted to smash her price and make the set worth it, she should have been a rare in the set instead of Tree of Souls, Perdition, Hangman's
Tree of Redemption.
Tree of Redemption, that one. I knew that. I am on top of these things.
Honestly
Somewhere
though,
adjacent
like going
to
back to the positives, my favorite thing about the set's honestly the watermarks. I think they look amazing.
I can't wait to see them in foil.
A lot of the watermarks for the dark with the moon in the back. Oh, it looks so good. Especially the blood moon with the moon in the back.
Wait, did they regenerate the ghost ship? Oh, they did.
Yeah, they brought back Ghost Ship.
Oh, I love Ghost Ship. I like that artwork too.
Yeah, Ghost Ship. They had new art for Merfolk Looter, which looks really good.
Yeah.
They're using a lot of the same art, like the Eternal Masters art for Counterspell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does look like a really fun set to draft. I'm probably gonna I'm really excited to draft White Mane Lion again because I drafted the crap out of that card during Eternal Masters.
Yeah, it's a sweet card. I don't care what anybody says. A 2/1 for 1 is value in my book.
Well, no, it has flash, it bounces things, it fizzles removal. Like,
oh, I'm thinking of a different
you're
card.
thinking of Savannah Lion.
I'm
you're
thinking of Savannah Lion.
Savannah Lion's a
They're
nice
all
reprint too.
cats.
But White Mane Lion, like,
You're thinking
I made
of-
a
I
blue
know.
white flicker
It's-
deck.
At least it's actually in the set.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that.
So back in Eternal Masters draft, I made a blue white flicker deck that was really strong.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to draft it again with White Mane Lion, Cloud Shift, and we got a few new toys in the form of like new Mole Drifter.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Cloud Blazer?
Cloud Blazer, yeah. Cloud Blazer with the flicker deck. Oh, it's gonna be so much fun. And Cloud Blazer didn't get enough time in the limelight in Kaladesh draft because that format was so fast. You just by 5 mana you should be winning rather than playing a 2/2.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad to see it again, to draft it again, and play it with a better shell like with a few Squadron Hawks, White Mane Lion, Cloud Shift.
Yep.
It looks super fun. So I'm really excited for that.
Side rant real quick. I don't like that Wizards is giving Iconic Masters to Target and Walmart and whatnot because of the people who violate their release day policy. Those are the biggest, and they're also the people they can't say anything to.
Yeah.
And so rewarding them for not even bothering to grow the community beyond the random walk-ins and for essentially, not actually obeying the street dates. Because I used to work at a store like that shall remain nameless, probably for legal reasons. Not having to do with me, but rather us as a store. And we, to quote Jack Sparrow, the product release dates are more like guidelines. you just put it out whenever. So it irks me that this premium product that I'm paying premium prices for to give to you guys at even more premium prices is something that they big box retailers are getting too. It's like,
Yeah.
meanwhile I'm putting in the time and effort to grow the community.
From the store perspective, it is pretty unfortunate because these and also the From the Vault sets are sort of like little gifts from WotC to the stores. From the consumer perspective,
It's
I
good.
like it a bit better because if Iconic Masters was a way to go by, it's gonna drop the prices a lot.
Yeah. A caveat in my rant is I understand, especially in Alaska, but also in the American Midwest and stuff, there aren't a lot of game stores, and therefore, if it was game stores only, a lot of those people would not be able to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I respect that part of the decision. It's the rest of it that I'm like, but why?
Yeah.
So
Side tangent from that.
we're
Going back
on
to
main
the
topic.
spoilers, I just saw a combo that
yeah?
I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing.
Yeah.
Fiend Hunter's in the set.
Yeah,
Yep.
he is.
And I'm gonna teach a lot of kids how the stack works.
Oh god. Side note, Fiend Hunter, also more iconic than Tree of
Yeah.
We just said it. What was the name of that card?
So
Tree of Redemption.
Tree of Redemption.
So
I want to
for
call it Tree of
the
Perdition.
I almost
uninitiated,
did too.
Fiend Hunter's a 2 white, 1 generic, human cleric. It's a 1/3. And it says when Fiend Hunter enters the battlefield, you may exile another target creature. And the second block attacks, when Fiend Hunter leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to the battlefield under its opponent's control.
Yes.
The combo is, when Fiend Hunter comes into play, the triggers go on stack at 2 separate times, and you as the active player can order them differently. So you can you can stack the going away trigger first, and the return trigger. No, you can stack the exile trigger, and then the return trigger second, and you can either sack Fiend Hunter or flicker him or bounce him or get rid of him in any way, and it fizzles. So the effect, his ability fizzles because Fiend Hunter no longer exists on the field.
Yeah.
Meaning that creature that you hit with Fiend Hunter is forever exiled.
Yes.
And like that is something that like I had to learn. Like I didn't know it for a while, but I had to learn it sort of the hard way. And I got to teach some people in Commander how it works. So I'm really glad to see it again because man, a lot of people are gonna learn how to stack works during draft.
Right. It's basically Oblivion Ring with the 1/3 body.
Yeah.
And that's why they changed the loophole to instead of make 2 triggers, they made 1 connecting trigger. So it says, Banisher Priest says, when you exile a creature, it's exiled until Banisher Priest leaves the battlefield.
Yeah.
So that there is no loophole of flickering or
So a lot of the
sacrificing.
newer cards that they've been printing, like Banisher Priest and stuff, it's 1 block of text rather than 2 separate blocks.
Right.
Because they wanted to cover up that loophole.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so overall, the set looks super fun to draft. It's very much up my alley where you can do crazy degenerate things. I've seen a lot of people online saying it's similar to a lot of Holiday Cube drafts where you can do very stupid, silly things. Mm-hmm. And it looks like that, but in a master set. And in a
Right.
paper master set.
It's super exciting.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that.
We've already had so many people coming in. Oh, and it looks like such a fun set. Side note, other fun things that are coming out, the Challenger decks. This I want to give WotC a pat on the back for.
Oh my god.
Because the Challenger decks are really well put together, and I have so many people coming up and actually asking me for them.
It's such an easy way for, it's really not for me. I'm gonna put it out there. I have a lot of standard decks already, a lot of standard decks already built, but man, I commend them a lot for building, for putting out Challenger decks, which is basically fixed event decks. Like, because if people remember the event decks, they were cool.
Bad.
They look cool.
They were so bad.
But they were so bad. Like the purpose that WotC gave was you can take the event deck, take it to an FNM, and compete with it. In reality, you couldn't because the decks were pretty bad.
Yeah.
They gave you one-ofs of all these cards that you really needed, and they just weren't they weren't optimized.
Yeah, because WotC was afraid of tanking the value of the cards, which means, that stores like mine are going to get mad at them. But conversely, having more players in my store and having a product I can readily sell them, that's not going to make me mad. Yeah. They did, and it was a brilliant idea, for instance, with Chandra and Hazoret being in the same deck, because total value between the 2 cards is like $60, right?
Yeah.
So if you want a Hazoret, you are not necessarily going to buy that deck because it's Channel Fireball has them for $40. We're selling them for $27 on pre-order, but we don't have too many of them. Whereas you're not going to buy it because you could just buy Hazoret for $15 and call it a day, right? But if you want Chandra, you get a $5 discount on Chandra and a free Hazoret.
Yeah. And for any new player coming into the store and sees like, hey, we have Standard Showdown on Saturdays, or I just want to play Standard with my friends, you can pick up one of these decks. Like, the Mardu Vehicles deck has 4 Heart of Kirans. 4 of a Mythic that is essential to that deck.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just go down the list, like the Constrictor deck has like 4 ofs of all these like crazy good cards. You have the Verder's Gyro Hulk, you have Walking Ballista, you have all these cards that are just amazing in the Constrictor deck. And the Chandra Hazaret deck, the mono red deck, has the Chandra and the Hazaret. And it has Bomat Couriers and all these other rares that are just great in that deck.
Doesn't it have... It's only got one Hazaret, right?
Yeah, one Hazaret, one Chandra.
Yeah.
Which, like, it's like, you know, you can just... If you like the deck enough, you can go and drop some money on a Hazaret, and that's all you really need.
If you don't really like your Chandra, you can probably trade it for one to two Hazarets.
Like, Chandra is usually, like, I don't know mono red that well, but I don't really think it's a main boarded card usually most of the time.
Yeah.
I often see it in the sideboard.
Yeah.
Because in the mono red deck, you're usually winning by turn 4.
Yeah, you're not playing a Planeswalker. You are beating face.
Yeah.
And or you have just won the game.
Yeah. Earthshaker Kenrez, I believe...
He's like 249, I think.
Yeah, so Earthshaker Kenrez is a great card. And then the Approach of the Second Sun deck for the control players and everyone. It has a lot of the essentials. I mean, Approach of the Second Sun isn't a ton of money, but I believe it has...
I think it has 3 of them?
It has 3 Approach of the Second Suns, which is great. That's usually all the deck needs. And I believe it has also a Search for Azcanta.
Yeah, which
No Search for Azcanta?
No, it has Settle the Wreckage.
It has Settle... Oh, God. Settle the Wreckage. Yeah,
that's a good one.
And
that,
four
like-
Supreme Wills, which are good for this
Supreme Will, yeah. Settle the Wreckage, so good. It's like, I've seen it see Fringe play in Modern.
Right.
It's a really good card. It freaking knocks out Bogles.
Yeah.
Knocks out a lot of decks that just usually can't handle with the hexproof creature.
Yeah.
So-
The only thing that I would say about those decks, because I think Justin and I agree that those are not decks for us because we both have at least 1 to 2 standard decks that we've invested money in, and these staples we've kind of accumulated, whether it's from draft or trading or getting singles. With the Counter Surge deck, I really think they could have at least included an extra Walking Ballista, and they only included 1 Fatal Push, and no deck list can play with just 1 Fatal Push.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
this is the event deck they were working on until they actually hired someone who knew what they were doing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there like 2 Verters Gearhulks in there?
3.
3, yeah. That's... I think what they were looking at was they were looking at the secondary market and go, hey, we want to lower the prices, but we don't want to lower them so much that it's the thing is, like, the store owners would just open them and sell them as singles.
I think what they wanted to do, rather than that, because if that's the truth, then I'm gonna open all the the red aggro decks because I'm gonna make way more money on that than I will on Fatal Pushes.
Right.
Yeah.
But what they wanted was they didn't want the decks selling out to experienced players instead of new players.
Yeah.
Because experienced players who are playing standard already have Hazaret. They already have
Fatal
Chandra.
Push, yeah.
They have Fatal Pushes, but if they had done 4 Fatal Pushes in there,
I know for sure I would have bought one and
modern
go, hey,
players.
I'm going to take my 4 Fatal Pushes,
Because-
I'm going to take the Walking Ballista, and here's a whole bunch of bulk.
Fatal Push is played in Modern, isn't it? Walking Ballista's got some vintage deck it sets in.
Walking Ballista also sees play in Modern.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is those are the cards they put the least of in because that would appeal to players outside of the demographic they're trying to target. This unfortunately also hamstrings the deck.
The thing is all about the decks too is they're not perfect. I think that WotC deliberately made it in mind that if you like the deck enough, you only have to make a few upgrades to the deck to make it perfect.
Very much a MTG Goldfish scenario.
Yeah, so like you look at the deck and you play the Counter Surge deck, go, oh wow, this deck is super fun. If I'm gonna perfect it by buying a few more Fatal Pushes, and usually that deck doesn't run any more than 2 or 3. Like they never run that deck doesn't run the full 4.
You're dropping maybe $16.
Yeah,
maybe.
which is a lot better than going and having to find the Gear Hulks and the Walking Ballista in the past when you wanted to make that deck from scratch.
What's Gear Hulk up to now, anyways?
It's not that Verter's Gear Hulk's not that expensive.
Like $4, isn't it?
But that deck runs like 3, which, for a lot of people, dropping, let's say they're about $5 a piece. Dropping $15 for 3 Hero Hulks sort of stings a little bit. Especially since after it rotates, it's going to be worthless.
Yeah.
Whereas Fatal Push, you look at that card and say, hey, I can buy this, and later down the line, I can use it in another deck, or if I feel like it, I can play Modern with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they were thinking about, because same thing with Chandra. Chandra sees Modern play. Hazaret sees Fringe Modern play now. Settle the Wreckage sees Modern play, and a lot of these cards you saw that also see Modern play are one-ofs in the deck. So I think they're very smart about it.
They avoided putting 4 of modern play cards and they just put 1 ofs because you probably already have your 1 off and
a lot
most
of
likely it's cheaper to just buy the individual card.
And a lot of the 4 ofs they did put in there are standard playable and very good in standard. It's just when the rotation hits, they're going to take a hit.
Yeah.
I still would like to see 2 fatal pushes. It didn't have to be the full 4, but just to make it a little bit more playable.
That's true.
Two fatal pushes.
I understand.
And if they didn't want to put an extra ballista in there, they could have maybe given us one of these other rares that
Moment of Craving is a good replacement for fatal push.
But one of these other rares that's not played as much, like maybe Rishkar or Gonti.
Rishkar is a 2 or 3 of in that deck.
It's a 3 of in that deck, and maybe they could have shaved that and given us another Walk the Plank or just some other removal.
A Walk the Plank would have been really nice.
Yeah, another removal spell to fill the void of only putting in 1 fatal push.
Yeah, I understand. Like, I sort of agree.
But that's just the more, I guess, the standard player in me talking.
Yeah.
But Justin already pointed out that these decks are not for existing standard players. These are for players that want to jump into standard, that want a good starting point.
Especially
and these are great shells.
Especially with standard in the state it was in this past year, where it's like the player base is dropping.
Oh yeah.
Even at CCS, we've had a lot of standard players just drop off and either stop coming or jump into modern.
It's getting better, but it's bad when 8 people at a free event that has a prize payout is the highest I've had in 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh,
not
wow.
a good sign.
Yeah. There were 8 people last Saturday. So that was the first one I actually got to run as an actual standard showdown.
Yeah, that was the first one I actually missed in a while.
Yeah. It was
like I literally only go for the standard showdown pack. I don't really enjoy playing standard that much. It's not that fun.
At the moment, we're basically a guaranteed standard showdown pack. We usually get 6 to 7 people at most. Mm-hmm. And I think we had 9 or 11 this last week. It was the most I'd had in 6 or 8 months. Before that, the highest number I'd had was like 13, and that was on Free Comic Book Day, which in hindsight was a really, because I was expecting like 4 people to show up because that's how many had showed up the week before, so whatever. But then, oh man, Free Comic Book Day plus 12 nerds who want to play Magic is not, it was not fun to coordinate all of that.
I mean, also, like, with
30 nerds who want comic books.
I mean, we've also been doing a lot of modern for FNM, too, and those have been firing, and those have been very popular.
Those have been consistent. They're usually about 8 people. We did have the one not fire, but overall, it's fun. It's always a casual atmosphere. It's great to get into games of Commander afterwards.
Mm-hmm. I think what helped invigorate it and get Modern back in the spotlight was, the most recent Pro Tour was Modern Focus, and it came out as... I think they announced it as it was like the most watched Pro Tour of all time.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And also a lot of people are really excited to play the 2 new unbanned cards going into our next topic. Jace, the Mind Sculptor, King Jace, one of the strongest planeswalkers ever printed.
Right.
And Bloodbraid Elf. Yes. Those 2 got reprinted about a month ago now. And
I heard though they're not
unbanned. They got unbanned.
They're unbanned, but I heard they're not seeing a lot of play yet.
Bloodbraid Elf is actually seeing a ton of play. Jace the Mind Sculptor, it's a strong card. Don't get me wrong. I just don't feel like it's found its shell yet. I don't think it's found its deck yet.
Right.
There were some standings that came out from the most recent MTGO Modern tournament. And Jason Mind Sculptor isn't in any of the top 8 decks. And maybe that's either because people are either playing anti-Jace everywhere, like anti-Jace cards, or like maybe they just don't feel like testing a new deck for these tournaments in such a short amount of time. Or maybe it's just too slow.
Maybe Wizards was right. There's
a player at our shop that commented, Jace is good. It doesn't have good backup. Like, when the strongest card that goes along with Jace in Modern is like Snapcaster Mage and Cryptic Command, which are great cards, but you can't carry a deck on loan on those like 3 cards. Mm-hmm. You need a good shell around it.
I'll show you. If I stack them thick enough, I can totally carry a deck on them.
Okay. So I honestly believe it is going to see its day in the spotlight soon. I don't think it's found the right deck yet, but it's not doing well right now. Bloodbraid Elf, on the other hand, I got to try it this past week. My friend lent me a Jund deck, like with the unbannings and whatnot. And man, Bloodbraid Elf is the real deal. It's so powerful. I wasn't on the hype train until then, but man, I'm on the hype train now. Going from I got knocked down to 1 life, and Bloodbraid Elf into a Liliana the Veil immediately pulled me back into that game, and I won off of 1 life. My opponent was at 20, and I won from 1 life.
Yeah.
So that card is the real deal, and it's incredibly strong. And man, like Jund is like, I don't think it's the strongest deck in the format. Like, I think it's a good deck. I think it's a strong deck. I don't think it's like makes any of the other decks unplayable.
Yeah, it's not something that's dominating, but Jund is very fun to play.
Yeah.
Just playing a lot of threats and having the other players answer your threats.
It took me back to the days of Abzan midrange and standard, where every single draw you make is just a good card. Like, oh, top deck Seed Rhino, okay, or top deck, Wingmate Rock, top deck Anafenza. Any of those top decks are great, and that's what Jund reminds me of.
Right.
Because this is, I think that was my first time playing Jund. I'm usually a very heavy combo or control player, and my friend convinced me to play Jund.
Yeah, you're just comboing off into creatures that beat their face in. That's how your combo works.
Man, Bloodbraid Elf was like MVP in that deck.
All right, so if we were going to build for Jace, how would you do it? Personally, I would just throw him in my red, white, blue deck and call it a day, right? Like, I'd throw like a 1 or 2 of, and that'd be that. But how would you do it?
I would also say, like, I honestly believe a combo shell is the best for Jace. Something like the mono blue taking turns deck, I think is the best for Jace. Because the worst part of playing Jace is playing Jace, drawing some cards, and then letting your opponent untap and kill Jace. So either through Bloodbraid Elf or Dreadbore, or even two lightning bolts or whatever.
Hero's Downfall.
So something like taking turns, where the goal of the deck is to take turns over and over again and just never let your opponent untap. I think Jace is strongest in, because you play Jace, you zero Jace to draw 3, you're gonna hit an extra turn spell somewhere.
Yeah.
So I honestly believe taking turns might be one of the strongest Jace shells. Plus you're playing blue, so you have access to counter spells like Cryptic Command and whatnot for early game to keep yourself alive. I think control shells might have better game enders than Jace, and that's sort of sacrilegious to say, but
so WotC may have been right. That's what I'm taking away from it. It may actually be, at least. I think
it's still too early in the format to tell. I think we have to give it. I would wait like a year, and then maybe we can talk about this topic again in like a year, and maybe see what we think in a year. Maybe Jace does take over the format and WotC has to emergency ban it.
Yeah, I don't have a great track record for predictions, so don't listen to me. I thought Bloodbraid Elf was for sure gonna get reprinted, and
honestly, I did too.
In Masters 25.
I honestly did too. It's like a $10 card right now.
Yeah.
Bloodbraid is down to 6. I know,
it's
because I just
6?
bought 2 to make a playset, because I'm going to be playing some big zoo soon once I get those Bloodbraids in the mail.
Okay.
But on the topic of Jace, there are competitive ways, obviously, to play Jace, the taking turns, stack the top of your deck. But I want to spitball an idea. Teamer, land, destruction, Jace.
Teamer Pawns, that could be fun too.
Because you can ramp into it on turn 1 with Noble Hierarch or with Birds of Paradise, and you can have a turn 3 Jace, and you could just be brainstorming, getting all your land destruction spells. What better to protect Jace than putting your opponent off of all their resources?
That's true.
How can you cast a Dreadbore when you have no lands?
Or
you're on the wrong
brainstorm
colors?
into more Stone Range or something.
Yeah, and you can also play Fulminator Mage in that deck because it's Teamer.
I mean, if you're playing Teamer, you might as well also run Bloodbraid Elf as well. So
there's nothing that says you can't.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But Jace is 4 mana, right?
You're not going to hit a Jace off of it, but you can hit all of your Stone Rains off of it.
Okay. I want to see a list first, because it seems like very, very magical Christmas land.
Oh, no. This listeners, this is not a good deck. This is just the jank player in me saying, let's see if we can make this happen.
This is how you make your opponent third round feel even worse about their deck.
Yeah, because you're honestly.
I did that at Fireball once.
Honestly, if you take this to a competitive REL, you're probably gonna go 1-2. But the match that you can just bushwhack somebody and just put them off of all their colors is gonna feel so freaking sweet.
Run Bushwhacker Goblin, by the way, just so you can say Bushwhacker.
Please don't do that. Please do not do that. That is not how you Ponzi somebody out.
Yeah. So story time.
Okay.
I was at Fireball once, and at the time I was playing a Teamer Emerge deck. It was one of the Pro Tour decks, and I was just testing it out. Mm-hmm. So I took it to Fireball for free standard Monday, and I lose like my first 2 rounds. So in my last round, I sit across from this older fellow, who is playing a red-green ramp into Ulamog, and I immediately get a Emrakul out. And he's just like mumbling. He kills the Emrakul. I got a second Emrakul out. He starts whining. He goes, so your deck doesn't win. Your deck's just to make me feel miserable. And I'm like,
My name's Justin.
If you see it that way, sure. But I mean, we're both 0-2 right now in the third round, so my deck's not that great.
I mean, I'm miserable too. What do you want?
If we're gonna go to short story time, I was testing Pauper a couple of weeks ago with one of my friends, and I had an Abzan gain life Pestilence deck. So essentially, you just want to get 1 life ahead of your opponent, activate Pestilence incrementally every turn until you whittle them down to 0. But my plan B, since my opponent was flooding the board with a bunch of creatures, was just to gain life until I realized that he was going to mill out. So I was at about 60 life, and he kept attacking me, swinging for 10, but I was gaining 12 life a turn, and I just kept going like untap, gain this much life, and my opponent finally realized that he was slowly just going to mill out, and he was like, okay, do you want to go to game 2? And I'm just like, if you want to go to game 2, we can. Otherwise, we can just sit here and draw go. And he was realizing that the grind was going to get him. And I just wanted to demonstrate that my combo was online, and I was just waiting for him to scoop, and he finally got the message.
So I'm coming from Pokemon. I used to be a Pokemon player before I started playing Magic. That's where a lot of my competitive nature comes from. I competed for quite some time. There used to be a YouTuber named Puka. He currently works for Pokemon. He doesn't stream anymore, but he was basically the Saffron Olive of Pokemon. He would always make jank decks. He would have a silly personality, interact with the chat a lot, very much like how Seth does currently. And he had a motto, because Pokemon has a very stronger draw engine than Magic. And it's very easy to Wheel of Fortune yourself to death by accident.
Draw 3 for 0 is literally one of the worst cards.
Yeah. So there was a card that was a 4 of in every deck that was basically just free Wheel of Fortune. And the YouTuber's motto, whenever he was losing and he's on the back foot, he's about to lose, is when in doubt, mill him out. So he would stall as long as possible, and then he would count the cards in his opponent's deck, make sure they have less, and then stall as long as possible until they mill out.
Yeah.
Because he played to all his outs.
Right.
And that was his motto. When in doubt, mill him out.
Yeah.
So you say you got some of your competitive tendencies from Pokemon, but I call bull on that because I have never seen you make a circle in the middle of the store and throw your deck into it and their deck into it. I have also never seen you actually compare deck types or apply weaknesses, resistances. So
okay, Mike.
No, definitely no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to teach it to children on the weekends. All right, back on topic.
Yeah.
Is that part of your community service you have to serve?
I don't know if it's a service to my community or to my store. The parents don't seem to like it too much because then they're spending money.
I mean, I'm playing Magic now. I'm here to stay.
Yeah.
I love what drew me in firsthand was I love the fact, unlike other card games, Magic has a wide variety of formats I can choose and play.
Right.
And the second part is I love the characters. Like, Magic has a story that other card games don't have. And going to the story, there are older characters, there's new characters, there's the Gatewatch. I loved, despite what people mumbled about, I actually liked the Gatewatch. I agree they sort of got a little oversaturated, but when they first appeared, I'm like, this is really cool. There's a set of characters that you can follow around, magic lore-wise, and they go around and basically fight crime.
Right.
What is really cool though about the next set, we're gonna see all these old characters again.
Yes.
Characters that aren't the Gatewatch. We sort of took a break during Ixalan and didn't visit the Gatewatch, but we're seeing old characters like Jaya Ballard.
I'm
Joyra.
super excited. I hope Karn gets reprinted as a Planeswalker, and I hope in the stories he chews out Jace for being horrible at organizing anything. He's
God.
like, you let Liliana in. Why did you let Liliana in?
Hey man, Liliana's bae though.
Liliana may be bae, but Liliana is arguably kinda evil.
Hey, you gotta let-
That's like Superman being like, hey Lex, come on in.
Which
Welcome
did happen.
to Justice League. In a not regular universe, but that's
Yeah,
for
it
the
Yeah, when Superman died, Lex Luthor joins the Justice League.
when was that? Was that in the 90s?
No, it literally happened last year. And then Superman comes back, he's super suspicious of Lex Luthor, and then finds out, wait, the only reason Lex Luthor was evil was because of Superman. Lex Luthor, and
that's right.
in all understandings, is a good guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and even like
He does
fairly
make sure his
recently,
employees are paid.
Batman did the same thing, where he invited Killer Frost to the Justice League.
Yep.
So I mean, like,
That's for the comics podcast,
Yeah.
though, which we're gonna be starting in the next couple of months. But that's beside the point.
but it would be really fun to see the Gatewatch again interact with these old characters. And my dream is not only see like Jaya, Karn, all these guys. I want to see the Weatherlight crew again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is Gerard dead? I don't remember.
No, like it'd be really cool to see all these characters again. Like it'd be cool to see Squee again, Captain Sisay,
There's
Hana.
a certain amount of fun swashbuckling that could really be injected into the set
Yeah.
with the Weatherlight, and also you could get that pirate and like vehicle crossover, with Rix for hopefully an improvement on standard and definitely an elevation of pirates as a legitimate deck type, because I'm tired of being laughed at. So I really feel like that could definitely put a lot into it, but I want to see Slivers.
Oh,
More than anything, I want Slivers back. And Mike Yu is
I
rubbing
think
his
we'd have to
head.
wait for another core set for Slivers. I don't think Slivers are gonna come back right away.
Slivers.
Because I think WotC hyping up Dominaria, getting Richard Garfield back to hype up the set and like design the set from the top down, and then our payoff is Slivers.
Ah, come on.
I think some people would be a bit bummed. They're like, really?
Yep,
All
right
this
here.
hype for Slivers?
Raising my hand, Sliver should stay dead. Slivers
Like,
are
you know what would be
OP.
cool? Seeing an actual Urza card.
But we need another
Like, that's
blue
not
sliver
unstable.
that gives flying.
We do have an Urza card.
That's not part of
he's
Unstable.
The headmaster.
I mean, if you want to go to Unstable, like, Unstable would work really well with Masters 25 because of all the watermarks.
That's true.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
like,
that's a
I
good
think
synergy.
like, seeing an Urza
Oh.
card in Black Border would be
I
really
need
cool.
to do that now.
Or,
I need
like,
to make a draft.
if they go back to, like, sort of like, what was it, Fate Reforged, where they go back in time. That'd
Yep.
be really cool, seeing all these old characters again. Jaya is an old lady now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like,
You wonder if they're coming along because like they're gonna smack Soren, and like they're trying to find. I could see it being they're trying to find Soren and
Okay.
no, crazy dude.
Sarkin?
Sarkin. They're
Oh,
trying to
yeah,
find
Sarkin.
Soren and Sarkin because they're like, what did you do to the timeline?
I mean, you look at Teferi. Teferi has a cool little goatee going on. Like, these characters
yeah.
have obviously aged. Karn isn't as, like, shiny and, like, nice looking as he used to be. He's sort of seen some shit.
Yep.
Like, you look at I mean, we've only gotten a few pieces of art, but like, looking at the pieces of art, like, it looks like Jaya. Like, I mean, not Jaya's obviously aged. Like, Joyra looks like she has some years on her. Teferi looks a lot older. Karn looks like he's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Like, so it's really cool to go back to these old characters and see how they've been updated.
Then you're gonna have to bring Urtai back into this.
Oh God, Urtai.
yeah.
Who's Urtai?
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast.
Okay.
He's a really annoying character.
You heard it. It's next week is going to be the podcast about Urtai.
Counterspell on a stick.
Can we just spend 5
Every
minutes on
Urtai card we've gotten has been Counterspell on a stick.
Yeah, he's always been a jerk, and in function and form, he's a jerk. Yeah. Actually, I would rather talk about Slivers coming back than Urtai.
Oh man.
We not only Dominaria, but we got some art for the next set after Dominaria, the next core set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And did you see the box art?
No.
Did you see who's on the box art?
Is it Ugin?
Nico Bolas.
It's Nico Bolas.
Nico Bolas is coming back. He is like in a way the main villain of the Magic universe.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I like him.
I
like him. I like him more than
I like
Eldrazi.
him. I like him a lot more than Eldrazi.
like
He actually has a personality.
I was just about to say he has personality.
He has a plan. He has a personality, and like the fact that he's allied with Tezzeret too, that gives us hope that we see Tezzeret back as like sort of like the underling under Nico Bolas.
He gets to me in the same way that he's getting there in the same way that the Eldrazi do get there. The Eldrazi are an all-consuming aberration. To resist them is entirely futile, and then they're defeated repeatedly. So they're not actually all-consuming aberrations because like nobody's been to a plane where the Eldrazi just consumed everything and then moved on, as far as I know. And so Nico Bolas kind of comes in the same way, not because he's all-consuming, but because he is essentially all-powerful. Now, so far it's working out just fine because he does have little failings, but not enough to completely negate. Like, when he loses, it's in small ways, and you get the sense that he's okay with it and he can work around it. But the time he does lose needs to be it. Like, he can't do what the Eldrazi does and come back. And
the Eldrazi are never actually defeated, though. Like, they've... Like, even like Emrakul, they sealed her in the moon. That's sort of the nature of Eldrazi, is they're not the physical beings that you see. The physical beings that you see on the card are actually just like shells of who they are, because they're entities rather than physical beings.
Right.
So there's always a door for Eldrazi to come back. And honestly, like how they could sell a set Vorthos-wise for me is I'd love to see the Eldrazi invade New Phyrexia.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. Like the big like consuming aberration, like the Borg pretty much of New Phyrexia.
I would want that animated.
Versus like the Eldritch horrors of the Eldrazi.
I would want an animated teaser trailer that would be the Phyrexian like machines fighting back the Eldrazi hordes.
Yeah. I think that'd be really cool. But I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what the next year will bring us. Like, I didn't expect to see dinosaurs this year, and we got them, and it was pretty hype.
Or conquistadors.
Vampires, conquistadors. So, like, hopefully next year will be even more interesting, especially since they've moved away from the block format, and they pretty much announced, hey, we're going to do whatever we feel like. Right. If we feel like the story needs 2 blocks to tell the full story, we're going to do that.
Right.
But if we feel that the story only needs 1 block, we're going to do that.
If it needs 5, well,
I mean, hopefully not 5, but but like it has to be a really good story to last 5 blocks, like 5 sets. But that is going to wrap up this podcast. I think we've all said what we needed to say.
We've hit everything several times with a hammer.
Yeah. But I guess we just have to look towards the future. Again, this is the Cleanup Step podcast, sponsored by Comic Collector Shop. I am your lovely host, Justin, and would you like to sign off, guys?
Yeah, sure. I've been Mike.
And I am also Mike.
And we're going to pass turn to you. Tell us about what you think. What's your favorite tribe? What did you want to see in Masters 25? And don't forget to take off all damage. Discard your hand down to 7. That's been the end step. Thank you guys, and have a good night.
See you guys.